Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5.
Everyone, new for you at 5. Police recovering today after an extremely busy night. While some stayed in to ring in the new year, others were out till bar closed, keeping police on their toes. Valley News Team's Callie Hubbard explains.
Yesterday I worked a 10-hour shift, so I was tired. I just came home.
Many like Dean Christensen from Grand Forks were at home when the clock struck midnight, not wanting to put anyone at risk by being out.
What it does is it just keeps dragging the whole thing on longer and longer. And if people would just do what they were told, maybe I could stop wearing a mask sometime.
I think well over 3/4 of all of Fargo stay home, and I really didn't even want to go out.
Lucas went to Vinyl Taco in downtown Fargo.
I noticed a lot of people wearing masks when they got in. When they were there, they weren't wearing their mask for the most part.
Fargo police saying officers were exceptionally busy as people packed the streets and lines poured outside bars. They say they weren't informed of any CDC type violations, mostly officers responding to disturbances, but no critical incidents. Moorhead police saying the night was quiet as their businesses remain closed. Sharing their optimism and faith in the vaccine for this year. In the Red River Valley, Callie Hubbard, Valley News Live.
Many are crossing their fingers for events to come back in 2021. Christensen tells us he's excited to run a marathon. Well, we are starting off the new year on the right foot in the weather department. Here's Nathan to tell us what's in store for tonight.
Yeah, Stacy, things are pretty quiet out there to get us going for 2021. Some fog out there is reducing some visibilities in some spots, and you can see on our Dakota Magic Casino Skycam a bit of that fog there on the horizon. You can see those flags there in the parking lot also flapping a little bit, so a light southerly breeze there in the Hankinson areas, but of course visibilities are even further reduced for our friends, mainly in the Langdon area where there's a 1/4 mile visibility at this hour. Thief River Falls a 1 mile visibility, Oaks at 0 miles for that visibility. So our friends along the South Dakota-North Dakota state line and points south, we do have a dense fog advisory until midnight tonight, but as you can see, patchy fog is possible elsewhere, and that could be, of course, enough to reduce those visibilities. So if you do encounter some of those dense fog or even any kind of foggy spots, make sure you use those low beams so those other travelers can see you. But there's your dense fog advisory, mainly from the state line and points south toward Watertown. That goes until midnight tonight, but really anywhere conditions are conducive to that dense fog. You can see satellite not picking up those low clouds. They're a little too low for the particular satellite to pick up. So above those low clouds, notice things are quiet and there's not much to speak of there on the satellite and radar. So no precipitation to be worried about for the first day of 2021. Temperatures just as we expected. We're in the 20s for most of us. Fergus Falls, the lone cool spot there, 19 degrees. But Stacy, the weekend is looking fantastic and mild. The only thing I've got on my radar is a chance of showers next week, but we'll talk about that in a couple minutes.
All right, sounds great. Thanks, Nathan.
Yeah.
One family is trying to pick up the pieces after a fire badly damaged their garage. It started around 10:30 last night at 1106 3rd Street South. That's in the neighborhood just west of Concordia College. Police officers were first on the scene and used fire extinguishers to help keep that fire from spreading. When firefighters pulled up, flames were coming from the siding of the detached garage. Captain Rick Loveland says they put out the fire quickly and damage is contained to about 1/3 of the garage. Fargo fire crews responded to an oven fire in the 1700 block of 14.5 Street South. Crews on scene said it was an electrical malfunction of the wires in the unit that caught on fire. After the fire was out, crews carried the oven outside to make sure it was safe and to vent out the smoke. A North Dakota man is dead after being hit by a car in Morton County. The Highway Patrol says it happened just before 9 last night south of Bismarck-Mandan on Highway 1806. Police got several calls about someone walking on the highway. Troopers say the victim was standing in the middle of the road when he was hit by a driver who says he tried but couldn't avoid the man. Police are not releasing the victim's name but do say he was a 43-year-old from Bismarck. Minneapolis police yesterday released body cam video of the officer-involved shooting that left one man dead Wednesday night. Officials say police were conducting a traffic stop as a result of a weapons investigation. In the body cam video, police are seen exiting their squad cars and screaming for the man to stop the car. The vehicle is then seen driving away before being blocked by other squad cars. The officer yells, "Hands up," before what appears to be at least one shot fired from inside the vehicle. Officers then returned fire. It's a new year, and that means a new beginning on Capitol Hill. The members of the 117th Congress are scheduled to be sworn in on Sunday. We have team coverage from our Washington News Bureau. Valley News Live's Washington Bureau Chief Jacqueline Policastro explores what could be ahead for the new session. And senior reporter Ted Fiorliso tells us why 2 holdout Senate races could have an impact on how things get done.
When the new Congress takes the oath of office on Sunday, everything resets. Old bills that never got a vote are tossed out, but the issues remain. Lawmakers will be faced with the ongoing pandemic. But what else could be on the agenda? We asked 2 former Hill staffers, Tommy Binion from the Conservative Heritage Foundation and Laura Rodriguez from the Liberal Center for American Progress.
Economic relief across the board, very, very much at the top of the list for Democrats.
I think the number one issue for the Republican side of the aisle in Congress next year is going to be election integrity.
Both experts tell us passing legislation in a non-election year is typically easier. Democrats will control the House, but they hold fewer seats than last session. There's one big unknown right now, the final makeup of the Senate. Ted Fiorliso is here to tell us what it could mean after the results are in.
Jacqueline, when the new Senate is sworn in, Republicans will have 50 seats. The Democrats will have 46 seats. The 2 independents caucus with the Democrats. There are 2 seats left that will be decided in a runoff election in Georgia on Tuesday. If Republicans David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler are able to hold on to one or both seats, it will preserve checks and balances with the Democratic House and White House. And that could mean gridlock.
Unfortunately, we are going to see that pretty early on and pretty often.
They're going to have to choose some compromise. They're going to have to do things that are uncomfortable for them as partisans in order to get things done.
If Democrats Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff win the Georgia Senate seats, there will be a 50-50 tie. And the new vice president would tip the scales in the Democrats' favor in any tie-breaking vote. In Washington, I'm Ted Fiorliso.
The number of confirmed COVID cases in the United States has surpassed 20 million. The increase comes as health officials race to vaccinate millions of Americans. The U.S. has nearly a quarter of the more than 83 million COVID cases worldwide. India is next with 10 million and Brazil with 7 million. A winter storm strands people on a West Texas highway. A long line of vehicles stuck in dangerous driving conditions on I-20 in and around Big Spring. Some trapped overnight with children and elderly people inside, with the Weather Channel warning of impossible driving conditions in some spots. Meteorologist Jordan Steele lending a hand, or an arm at least, to help a woman cross a snowy parking lot. More than a foot of snow is forecast for some spots. Little Asher John is only a few hours old and he's already making headlines. Asher was born this morning at 11:18 a.m. at Sanford Family Birth Center in Fargo. His family made the trip to Fargo this morning from Fergus Falls. Although Asher wasn't expected until January 6th, his family says he is a light to start off 2021 right, especially after the challenging year of 2020.
She's a nurse in Fergus Falls, so I mean, we were a little hesitant to try to have another child when the pandemic started, so we just figured we wouldn't put our lives on hold forever, and we didn't know how long it'd be, so we went for it, and now we have Asher.
Even though Asher was born ahead of schedule, he's a healthy 7 pounds 4.9 ounces. Congratulations to the whole family. Well, the year is officially behind us, but experts say you need to make some changes on your 2020 taxes. We'll explain.
And here's how things look in Fargo if you plan on stepping out this evening. Those low clouds and fog will hang around in a few spots, so do take caution if you encounter any of that fog. Temperatures, though, stay fairly stable in the lower 20s in the metro, south winds around 10 miles per hour. Then in Grand Forks, right around those that 20-degree mark. And again, some low clouds and fog possible there as well. But we'll talk about that weekend forecast for you next.